Hey Apes, it's Erk here bringing you another one. We're going to be going over the Skull and Bones Worldwide Gameplay Reveal released in July 2022. This is a new title coming out by Ubisoft and it's going to be quite amazing. The official release date for this game is going to be November 8th, 2022. The reveal was about an hour and 13 minutes long, but a lot of it is just them showcasing how they brought the real world into the game and the game into the real world to give it a kind of very realistic survival aspect, but we're going to get to you and only give you the best bits of all of that. So let's jump right into the reveal trailer. It's quite amazing. It goes through the story of like how you start from very humble, very poor beginnings. You know, it shows this guy just hobbling through this dark alley, barely has a piece of bread to eat, clothes all rotting and tore off, and he looks through this window. And what does he see? Extreme opulence, fruits of all kinds, meats, people with jewels in this lavish life. And he doesn't even want his bread anymore. He can't believe that this is the world that he's forced to live in. Why could these people have so much and he has so little? But you know what? He sees other people in a similar situation, taking up the weight and changing their own lives, their own futures, and he decides to do the same. So it's quite an amazing story. It reminds me of Neverwinter, a game that I played on Xbox, but was also for PC, in the sense that the game begins after being shipwrecked on this island, which is a good way to begin a game. It's not like World of Warcraft or other games where some, races like Blood Elves and stuff start off in this beautiful, lavish city as, a newcomer, like someone starting their adventure, but they're still in this opulent land. This game is all about survival, and the trailer really showcases that. Like, bam, life starts, you're already poor, you have nothing to eat, your clothes is rotting. Not enough, here's sharks, get slammed against the rocks on an island, and then figure it out. It's all about picking yourself up by the bootstraps and making something out of yourself, You see him here with this raggedy little raft, then he starts developing a little bit of a crew, still has a pretty, meager ship. And then as the game progresses, and you see these transitional scenes that are beautiful, it shows you the sea combat, it shows you the conquest, it shows you how someone with nothing can become something and can become someone in the world of Skull and Bones. It's amazing. There's celebrations to victories, and they really emphasize on teamwork, togetherness, and then you really start growing to where your ship is still not perfect, but you have these huge stores of loot that you have raided and pillaged for. So it's quite amazing, and then you see the crew gets a lot larger, and the captain is now lavishly jeweled and cannot believe his success. He looks over, and the once crew members now have their own ships. But this is a part that I really enjoyed in the review, and they left it for the end specifically. You get the nods here, and then he says, all right, let's go. And he smiles. 3 ships against an entire fleet, and they're getting bombed on. Long live piracy. It's beautiful. Long live piracy. It's beautiful. The reveal then goes to showcase the devs on what appears to be like a CGI green screened ship background, so it appears as if they really are on the ship. They want to give the audience or the future player a very captivating look at what it would be like to really live in this adventurous life, and they want us to get immersed into this beautiful sunset. But they show you all of these artworks of the game, these landscapes which you could achieve, what could be you, and then it kind of goes into a little bit of gameplay footage, of actual footage of the game, so that you can kind of see how beautifully it's been created, the waves, the ships, the seas. All these things are very captivating and very drawing for a player, especially when the games that we are looking at right now haven't been exactly hitting, As you can see, they show different ship styles, they show different locations, they show battle aftermaths and things like that to kind of really get you immersed into these forts that you can conquer, these allies that you can make, and all the beautiful landscapes that this game really has to offer. All right, so you've survived your shipwreck successfully, you hunted a few sharks, and got off the island on your little raft. Now you arrive at one of the pirate dens. This place is called St. Anne, and this is kind of like your first city. There's going to be these all over the Indian Ocean or the world as you know it in this game, and it has a very Monster Hunter-esque feel. As you can see other players, there's going to be a video that I make detailing things that weren't necessarily revealed during the reveal, but they were because of our observations. You have your warehouses where you store your goods, very important, where you load up your ship before you head out. And then it kind of goes into showing you what it's actually like to build your ship, customize it, kind of like lay it out as you want with the cannons, and configure it the way that you like with the resources currently available to you, and then going on and heading out to sea on your first voyage. Right away, we get right into what happens when you get attacked, when you die, how you respawn. Basically, you appear at your den, which is, again, your city of sorts. Is very Monster Hunter-esque. If you've ever played one of their games, the way their cities are laid out and NPCs are and everything like that, it gives very strong Monster Hunter vibes. So they take a page out of RuneScape, an MMORPG that I started on, and what they do is, as you can see, your cargo is floating. Whenever you die, you keep a lot of your important things, but then you lose some, and you can go and recover it. But if you don't get to it in time, other pirates can steal it as well. So they did really good in adding that interesting aspect in this game. They've kind of taken a little bit from everything. These are your missions in this game, or your quest. They're called contracts. But basically, a lot is revealed by this, even though it's not spoken to from what we can gather and read from the game. As you can see, they come with an infamy, gain, or loss. Things that I'll get into more detail on my next video. But they also show you the spyglass, and they show you a little bit of the sea battles that can take part between you and other players. There are PvP servers, but it gives you kind of an insight, quick overview as to some of the things that you can do. You know, the investigations that you can do, how you can raid, you can siege pretty much outposts and things that are controlled by either AI or NPCs, how you can gather resources. And this is all very, very important as to the development of your character, your gear, and everything like that. One thing that I will say is that this game is extremely heavily survival based, and it seems to not really give leeway in a way that most MMOs do, as far as you can kill X amount of creatures, and if you just like to kill things or you like to hunt, then you can get to max level and achieve everything that way. No. This game has a huge, huge emphasis on infamy, which is your reputation. And through that, you will unlock new blueprints to make ships, to make armor, to make weapons. And then obviously they showcase during this reveal a lot of the beautiful gameplay. But this game is extremely heavy in questing, which is something that someone like me isn't necessarily all for. So that's what's going to deter a lot of the players, that it is pretty much a requirement for you to quest in this game, for you to develop infamy or your reputation out at seas, because it's very accurate. It shows a little bit of the weapon systems here. We're going to go over that in another video and really get into detail. But you have your Greek fires of sorts. You have different armor platings to protect your ship. And the more armored you are, the slower you are. The less armored you are, the faster you are. You know, the more heavy cannons and things like that you have, the more offensive that you are, the more difficult it's going to be to outmaneuver and get away from people. And I do love that they implement all of those playstyles where you can do all of these things, you know. It has this kind of like free roam feel to it. You can see a little bit of the stats on a ship by using the spyglass. It's really, really interesting. This game is phenomenally made. But the only thing I don't really love about it is that you can't just kill monsters or, you know, have battles and just get to max level that way. You do have to quest or do contracts rigorously in order to unlock the blueprint so that you can level up your ships or unlock better ships. But it does have that MMO feel to it, in the sense that you still have to gather resources in order to get what you need to create those items, to upgrade your armors, to upgrade your ship's armors, to upgrade your weapon systems, and all of those things. So it is a well-packaged MMO, if you would call it that. And it's going to offer so many survival aspects that the gameplay itself is going to be interesting. But your character per se is pretty much going to be your ship. That's where you're going to spend most of your time. They put a huge emphasis on being out. You know, when you raid locations, you pretty much send your raid team out, but you stay on the ship for the most part. And there's a lot in this reveal that was picked up, you know. You can acquire new clothing, as it was said by the developers, by raiding other players. You can board their ships if you get close enough, but that has its own dangers. And they show you a multitude of different ship styles that you can have. You can play style differently. Like if you normally play a rogue or something like that, you can have a faster ship and just maneuver around your enemy and burn them from the back or from areas where their cannons can't hit. There's AoE, you know, area of effect kind of damage evasion that is involved in raids and sieges. And yes, you can group up with your friends and attack castles together and share the loot and things like that. It's very interesting. I personally plan on playing on a PvP server. I have quite a few friends that will be playing this game with me, at least 10 of us that I can count already from different social circles, but that I will personally be linked to. So there are ways to lower negative reputation by trading resources or pretty much paying your way out of trouble. There's a lot of interesting aspects to this game. You basically have to be well equipped whenever you go out to sea because your crew will mutiny against you. So your own crew will try to kill you if you don't feed them and keep them wealthy. And the environment will turn on you, as is nature and the seas. And that'll try to kill you. The animals and all the creatures out at sea will try to kill you. Other players will try to kill you. NPCs will try to kill you. It is a very survival heavy based game, and anytime you die, you lose a lot. It appears that the beginning missions, these are just observations that I've made off of the contracts they showcase in the reveal. The early missions do not come with an infamy penalty, but later on there will be. So if you take a contract and you fail that contract, you will actually lose reputation and kind of develop negative rapport as a pirate. And we all know Blackbeard, right? Infamous name, everyone knows, very specific pirate names. Like if you talk about Vikings, you're going to know Ragnar. And reputation is everything in this game. I added this because I do love that the devs came out and said that there will be content for years to come and that all of it will be free. This is extremely important when you're going to see this World of Warcraft update video that I have. They are just becoming hungry, greedy, and cash grabby, and it is not what I want from a developer or a game moving forward. And Skull and Bones does a great job seemingly creating free content. They might go the microtransaction route for cosmetics only, the way that New World went, and that is a better way of doing business for the customer, I believe. Well, we're going to get on to some real actual gameplay and footage, and I think that it's going to be very exciting for you guys because it was very exciting for me to watch, and there's so many aspects of this game. It's just so intense, and the game mechanics are like nothing I've seen before. These guys go ahead and load in to start playing the real game, and they start off, it kind of shows you how you set sail, and then he runs back a little bit. You start to see players and start to see a little bit more of the merchants in the actual gameplay footage. It looks beautiful, by the way. I really like that it does have a kind of Monster Hunter, meets New World feel to it. As you can see, there's random players walking around. It tells you what they're playing on. This guy's obviously playing on console. Most of them are. And if you look at a lot of the gameplay footage, by the way the controls are set up, they're playing on the Xbox side of things instead of PlayStation or PC. You kind of talk to this guy, you pick up a contract. Here's where you start to see some losses in Infamy, where you mess up or you fail a mission. But then there's also the gains. And then it kind of just goes through how systems work, like the friends and grouping systems. And you can see that you're in a world. It kind of reminds me of a Destiny hub of sorts, where it's not the entirety of everyone. This is, of course, probably a very limited access beta. And then you have your little friends list, and you have kind of who is in the actual hub around you that you can invite or make friends with. Once you have your invitations ready, then you get out of that social menu and you start seeing your friends all around. This is the first kind of look into the fact that there is individual character customization, and as well as like a lot of different armor customizations. So it's nice to see the world map is laid out very decently. You have your land masses, your discovered and undiscovered areas from what I've seen in the gameplay. You have your city maps with locations to different merchants and what they do. So it's nice, the layout overall in general. As you can see, you go from discovered territory to undiscovered territory. It gives you a little bit of a quest objective and reward. It shows you where it is, pinned on the map. That is great considering this game is coming out in 2022 and we no longer really like to figure things out in a Tomb Raider-esque kind of way where things are very cryptic. We like to say, hey, this is what you need me to do. This is where you need me to do it. And we like things a little bit simpler. So as he heads out, he gets to make a selection to see what kind of ship he's going to have or how he's going to outfit it. It gives you stats on the ships. And then you really start seeing what you have, if you can repair. This is really cool because look at the cannon customization. You see, this is where you really get into what they call the meat and potatoes or the bread and butter of this game, where before you head out, it lets you kind of outfit your ship in any way you want, depending on the mission that you are about to embark on, which is really neat because you can go really heavy and be really slow and tanky and just have either a lot of firepower, a lot of defensive power, or you can leave all of that stuff behind and just go on and mission to just kind of gather resources and be really fast or be really almost like a tanker in real life where you just transport masses of resources if you're just going to be driving around gathering and stuff. But the amazing element to this game is that you never know what's going to be out there. As you can see, you can add your defenses. Some of those cargo nets were more of like a investigation kind of missions and resource gathering, and these are more like, all right, we're going to go out there and we're going to have to defend against enemy combat. But I titled this a survival game because you're always under fire. Look at this guy getting swarmed by sharks right now. It looks beautiful. He's getting looked at through the hourglass, and that's something that did add in the reveal. They did mention that for things like fishing sharks or whales or anything in the sea, it is best to use a smaller ship so that you don't just obliterate them, so that you can actually gather resources, because there is such thing as like resource destruction in the game as well. You're not going to shoot a shark with a giant cannon and then expect to get good loot out of it. It's not like a World of Warcraft type game where it doesn't matter what you shoot at the target. When the target dies, it yields full loot, and if it's a skinnable item, you can skin it. In this game, you can kind of destroy things a little bit better, and I think that adds an aspect of realism that's beautiful. They're going to go ahead and start the siege here, and it's really cool because there's a lot of things going on, and I love how you can kind of swap views consistently and see what's going on all around you. There's a battle going on over here, as you can see, and they're like, okay, we're just going to stick to our stuff and kind of stay away from those guys and hope they don't really notice us or come engage. And then as you start pulling up, you're going to see that there's enemy or computer, NPC, AI, whatever you want to call them, combatants that are just kind of parked there. You see these ships that are protecting this port or this little castle that they're storming, the tower. They're just kind of hanging out. But and they show you this through the hourglass. As soon as they start the engagement, these guys are they're gonna become quite active. You see, and then it also lets you kind of spy on the stats. You get 1 reputation gain or infamy, and then you lose 34 if you lose this. So that alone, I'm going to add all these key details in another video, should let us know that there's a lot to lose in these engagements when it comes to infamy, and not a lot to gain from the specific destruction or attack of the tower. So you do not want to engage these things unless you're certain that you can win. And then you kind of begin the plunder. You see, the plunder starts, you get close enough to get your crew to jump off, and they start plundering the area. But that's kind of like an automated thing that happens, and the real fighting happens on the outside. Look at all this beautiful damage. These guys are obviously doing a reveal, and I'm going to go ahead and just say this. When we start the game, we're not going to see like 8 and 10,000s bouncing off of things, because at one point they did specify that the new guy that was kind of being shown the game by one of the developers and playing it with him was outfitted with some of the best stuff. This is the Greek fire right here. From what I understood from the reveal, this is beautiful. This is awesome. I like that they have this, just like, I'm going to hunt you down, outmaneuver you, get behind you, and light you up, literally lighting them up. So I think the combat is just phenomenal in this game. You have your different viewpoints, you're steering the ship, you're looking around to see what other enemies could possibly be coming at you. And this yellow line, note this yellow line, this is the perimeter, right, to the current engagement. You cannot exit that. If you exit it, you have to come back in, because there is leeway in the game, understanding that, as you can see, to turn a massive ship, and depending on how you outfit your ship, is not going to be quite easy. But you also have other ships ramming you and pushing you out of the lines and all of these things. But keep that perimeter in mind, because there's something else that happens later on during the reveal that I want to touch on. So the key is to stay within these lines. You're going to have combatants that are naturally appearing within these lines. And then the dangers are always all around. You're getting attacked by the forces from the tower. You're getting attacked by the ships that are protecting this area, this bay of sorts. And you're going to be getting attacked by other players if they want to take your loot. Other players would be smart to wait for you and kind of stake you out until you do most of the engagement. This right here is mounting another ship, right? So you can board other ships once they start getting low, and that increases the chance of loot. But it can also be very dangerous, because if you board too early, then you can lose the fight. Your crew loses the fight on the ship, and then you end up, losing crew or loot, and has negative effects. They've built in these negative effects so that you board at the right time. Look at this, how it takes in water so beautifully. The crew is clearly struggling. The visuals on this game are absolutely phenomenal. I think that's going to be one of the coolest aspects. There is that yellow line. You are leaving the plunder area. Turn back. You have 30 seconds to get back into the plunder area if you start to leave it. But here's what's interesting. There will also be ships that are random in the world. These happen to be a part of the same company that they are plundering. They will not enter the plunder area, and you can attack them from inside the plunder area. But they can also attack you. So that is yet another survival disadvantage to this game. You're not only getting attacked from the towers, the ships within the plunder area, but you're also getting engaged by other ships from outside the plunder area, and the PvP aspect of it, because everyone's always trying to score some easy loot by taking you down, stealing your stuff, and running back to a safe zone so that they can deposit it and get away with that. It's just a beautifully built game, and I think that it does a phenomenal job at a lot of the aspects. That ring that you just saw and the numbers that came up in gold, that is kind of like your progress bar to the plunder. There are 2 out of 5 out of the objectives right now. They're about to cross over. You see now they're 3 out of 5 into the objectives, and pretty much when that bar completely fills up, all the plunder will be available to them. And that little gold coin looking thing or gold chest that you see over that ship on the left over there, that is kind of like where your objectives get looted, where your plunder is. And this is them obviously ending the plunder and boarding a ship here to finish off getting the most loot they can or maximizing their outcomes. And then there's challenges that Ubisoft has set up, as you can see coming up on the screen to the top right, that you can kind of like achieve. You see constantly as you're doing these things. This camera, by the way, throughout the reveal, and this was a little bit confusing for so much going on. This is one of the things that I think they didn't necessarily do beautifully, is that they're showing this at different episodes, because the other guy had already finished a plunder. This guy just finished a plunder. But it kind of continues to go back and forth between these two guys in party that they're using to showcase the game in the reveal. And it's a little bit confusing, to be honest. It's just like back and forth, back and forth. There was this gold coins or chest looking icon again where he's going to show up, and then you have to kind of collect your loot. Your crew goes in, they kind of collect the things, and then it tells you what you're looting out of the barge or whatever part of the plunder you completed. And you can loot mid plunder. So there's like 5 objectives. Some plunders have a little bit more, a little bit less objectives. But as you complete the objectives, you can just continue fighting. You see there's loot in the back there. This guy has not looted that portion of the objective. But you can loot mid-fight, or you can leave it there and then just keep fighting. What wasn't made extremely clear is if you're deeper into the objective, and the objective rewards can be stolen by other players if you don't loot them at a certain amount of time, or what the grace period is. But then it kind of shows you just going back into the city, completing the mission, getting your rewards. Your infamy grows. As you can see, there's a tracking bar, and every time it fills, you kind of reach a new rank or level of infamy. More of the map is discovered, and now they kind of go back out to sea to show you, hey, let's go to a new area and see if we find something else that we can plunder in this new area. And I like that they did this, because it really adds an open world exploratory kind of a view of the game. And I love this spyglass. I feel like I am going to spend so much time, as I did in like Destiny 1, Destiny 2, just looking at the vast universe, the beautiful, landscapes. Look at this ocean. It just looks phenomenal. The different views that you can take, and just really, really see the shadows and everything. I cannot wait to crank this game on max settings on my PC and see how beautiful it actually looks. I have the 3090, so Founders Edition. I'm very excited to see what that thing is going to make this look like. And I have also a G-Sync NVIDIA monitor that goes with my 3090 to sync frames. And I'm just very, very excited to see how gorgeous this game is going to look when I play it. But as you can see, they're using the spyglass again to kind of spy a little bit. 1 gain and 34 loss of infamy if you take on this attack or this plunder. Mainly plunders seem to be loot intensive, as a way that you gather the resources needed to build new ships, to upgrade your armors, and to keep your crew fed or your ammunitions heavy, because there's not a lot of infamy that goes with plunders. I think the infamy for the plunders mainly comes from contracts. So there is a possibility that you can just plunder cities nonstop to gain a bunch of resources. But the most effective way to do this in the game is going to be plundering things that are under quest. It translates into any MMO. So give it World of Warcraft, for example, because it's one that has a killing with questing based system. If you're killing 30 monsters or mobs, then you get a certain amount of XP and loot for it. But if you're killing them attached to a quest, then you get the quest rewards, the quest coin, items, and the experience as well. As you can see, they're beginning to plunder here. So the most effective way to plunder is to plunder through contract in the game. But I think there is going to be a very nice open world, side of things where you can just kind of ride around and find things that you think are cool or things that you'd like to engage, and then engage in random sea battles and plunders and investigations and all the things that the game has created. I like this right here because they show kind of how the red is marked where there will be damage falling, and it's pretty much just like an MMO. Red means dead, right? So whenever you see red circles at sea, you have to avoid them. Right here, clearly his ship is red. He's in the danger zone. He's going to get hit if he doesn't get out of there quickly. And he's just maneuvering around, which is really nice. See, they're 5 out of 5 on the plunder right now. Oh, this one has 6. So this is a harder plunder. See? They have 6 loots. And as you can see, the rarities of the loot are kind of turning purplish a lot more. And when they complete the plunder, there's a little bit more reward to go with it. I think it was an amazing reveal. I think there's a lot that they didn't talk about, but that was shown in the game as they were playing. And I think that overall they did a phenomenal job. There's a lot of people dogging this game because they're comparing it to other games, and I think every title should be seen as its own thing. There have been entirely too many World of Warcraft clones out there. There's been Ragnarok Online clones. There's been RuneScape clones. And I think that each game, while similarities do present themselves, should be seen as an individual entity. The city at night looks gorgeous. I just want to touch on that. Look at this. It's absolutely beautiful. But this is kind of where things come to an end. They just show you what it looks like in a different, weather ambiance, effect, atmosphere with different people. And that's kind of where the reveal really ends. I hope you guys enjoyed it.